Let's take a look at ADP data each individual round. Who are the best picks in each round? Who are the worst picks in each round? Let's start with round one. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
You can see the top 10 overall players according to Underdog ADP. Use code Smitty, link in description if you want to draft on Underdog. What I've been saying all offseason is that when you get the number one overall pick, you go Jamar Chase. Why? Because you only get the 1.1 every so often, and you're never going to get Jamar Chase at number two overall, at least on Underdog. And so this is a wide receiver heavy mentality. I'll attack running back heavy mentality in a second, but in a league where wide receivers are flying off the board, you got to take your shot at Jamar at 1.1. But I'll tell you this though, I've drafted a lot already. I've taken Jamar a ton at 1.1. I'm now changing my tune. I'm going to draft a bunch of Bijan at 1. Why? For starters, I just love Bijan teams, and I've only been able to get Bijan at 2, 3, 4, 5, mostly 2, 3, 4. So you're kind of restricted to those builds that are coming from those draft slots, the corresponding draft slots. You don't get a lot of chances to have the bookend picks at 24 and 25 to go along with Bijan. But I will say that Jamar Chase and Bijan, they're great values anywhere in round one. No one's saying you're getting the kind of impact you get when you draft, let's say, a Kyren Williams in round 3 or 4. He's falling. We'll get there when we get to the third and fourth round talk. Kyren could finish like in this top, like 8 overall. That's huge. League winning. Are you winning a league because you're getting Jamar Chase at 1 or Bijan number 2 or Bijan 3? I wouldn't say no. I mean, there's a reason LaDainian Tomlinson owners would win every year they got him. If you had number 1 overall back in the Priest Holmes or Marshall Faulk days, you had an advantage. I believe this year Bijan brings you that kind of advantage. I think Jamar Chase, if he replicates, if you believe he'll replicate, he could bring you that kind of value. So yes, you can win a league because of Bijan at 1. But I think JJ maybe can't. I don't hate JJ's value. I just don't like that he's climbed all the way to 2. I wouldn't mind JJ right where Lamb's going. You account for JJ McCarthy. 5, 6 would be good for JJ. I don't hate JJ at 2, but do I think he wins you a league at 2? Probably not. I could be wrong about JJ McCarthy, but I do believe that Bijan and Jamar Chase can technically win you a league or help win a league from the 1, 2, or 3 overall picks. So I love those selections. I don't hate JJ, but I don't love JJ's 2 overall value. Now, robust RB people out there, let's pretend Underdog doesn't exist. Let's pretend you're drafting in your mom and pop draft right now only. Your work league, Aunt Edna's league. They go heavy RB. So you go heavy RB. Bijan's the 1 overall player without a hesitation in a robust RB environment. Gibbs number 2. You could go Barkley 3 if you want. I would revert back to Jamar Chase probably at 3. Don't think I'm not crazy enough to go Jeanty at 3 or 4 though in a robust RB environment. I will smash Jeanty ADP in robust RB. So as I said, I don't love McCaffrey's value. I also don't love Barkley's value. But Smitty, he's Saquon. How could you? We told you about Barkley last year. This channel had Barkley on the Marsmen list last year. Barkley was a 2nd round pick. We said go win a league, draft Barkley, you will win a league. And boy, were we correct.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Barkley smashed. Barkley did so well that they decided to give him a little too much extra work. And this man ran for 430 plus carries in 2024. He had 480 plus total touches. This guy is a walking injury waiting to happen. Will it happen? Will he get injured? No one knows for sure if Barkley's going to get injured. I can't sit here and tell you with a certainty he's going down. But what I can tell you is that this kind of workload ends careers. You may say, oh, but he's built different, Smitty. But is he? Because he's been injured a lot in his career. And you can say, oh, this was a freak thing here. That was a freak thing there, Smitty. Practically dislocating his elbow the play before he tore his ACL. It was all freak injury type stuff, Smitty. Look, Barkley is an amazing player. DeMarco Murray, and I'm not saying DeMarco Murray at his prime was Barkley. in his prime. But DeMarco Murray crossed over what is called the 371 carry curse. And this is not a curse that takes out a majority, not a good amount or a small amount, a majority, if not almost all. Some running backs have crossed over it, but most every running back that crosses over the 371 carry curse not only vanishes the next year, they're never the same again. It's called a career-ending curse. And you could say, oh, it's just a curse. It's not a Madden cover curse, which doesn't help, right? That Barkley's on the Madden cover, but
This is science.
you carry the ball this much, your body breaks down. Again, not every running back, but what about a running back like Barkley that comes in with all the injury concern? You have to consider this being a legitimate threat to Barkley. Maybe Henry's capable of overcoming it, yeah, but he doesn't have an injury history. Barkley does. Right at the end of the year, though, too, last year, Barkley started to slow down. I'm not saying he won't rejuvenate. I believe Barkley goes on a tear in week 1, in week 2. Barkley might be like that great leaf blower you have that has the battery. You charge it and it's like amazing for 5 minutes, and then it just, Barkley will go crazy in week 1, maybe the first month, maybe the first 2 months of football. But you got to consider that Barkley's season might be a lot like Joe Mixon's season last year. Joe Mixon was a top 1 to 5 running back for like 9-10 straight weeks. And so you could draft Barkley and sell him high, but that's a tall order. A lot of pressure to be like, I'm going to go trade this player later, but I have to trade them. You could just say, let's draft a safer player now. Let's draft one of these players that we believe can hang with Barkley anyway, and not have to worry about the trading of Barkley away later. Jahmyr Gibbs is a much safer player than Barkley. He has an ADP of 5.6, Barkley's 4.1. CeeDee Lamb is much safer, especially in half PPR, and very much especially in PPR. 4.8. If Bijan's gone, I get it. You're considering Barkley maybe. I'm not doing it. You might be doing it. That's okay. I'm not mad at you. But I'm taking Lamb, I'm taking Gibbs, I'm taking Ashton Jeanty, who we don't even see yet on this board. If I'm wrong, I'm not even wrong. If I'm wrong, I still have a shot to be as good with the player that I'm drafting. But I'm avoiding all the risk. Now, there's risk with anybody getting hurt, but I'm avoiding the very blatant, obvious risk that is coupled with not the 371 carry curse. He's bringing the 430 plus carry curse to the table. 430 plus carries, 480 plus total touches. This is crazy. You can be mad at me all you want. You can say whatever you want to say about how Barkley's different. I'm going to trust him. This is crazy. The offensive line's great. All this is fantastic news. Loses his OC. You don't know what the offense is going to look like. The OC's even said, in the team in general, that they want to be more balanced and throw more this year. I don't know if that's even possible. They might have to resort and revert back to running the damn ball. But if you ask me, this is a year to step aside and let someone else take the gamble. You grab a player that you like nearly just as much anyway, with fresher legs or a better situation, or a wide receiver that comes with a little bit less injury risk. Barkley's a no-go. You can get mad at me all you want, even if I'm wrong. Again, I don't necessarily think I'll be wrong. If I'm wrong, the person that drafts Barkley might break even with who I draft in terms of fantasy football outcome. But if I'm right, that person that takes Barkley loses a league, and I avoided losing a league. Puka Nacua, I don't love the pick here. I don't hate it, but I don't love it at all. Again, it comes down to who's there that I like better. Jeanty, Neighbors. Neighbors has got the toe issue in a quarterback carousel of garbage. I get it, but he's also proven to be situation proof, and he's young, and the toe didn't bother him last year. He'll heal that up. He's rehabbing it now. I just have no concerns about Neighbors. To be honest with you, I think he could easily be the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver in fantasy football. The yardage, the touchdown, the reception production is all there. But Puka, it's not. Do you know that Puka's played 28 games in the National Football League? Do you realize that Puka still has yet to score 10 touchdowns on his career? He's still sitting at 9 total touchdowns on his career. The man just doesn't score touchdowns like you want him or believe that he can. And now you've got one huge, big problem. Davante Adams is now in town, and Davante Adams is going to be a problem for that touchdown number to increase, because Stafford doesn't throw for 40 touchdowns. Kyren will be running like a madman. And for those that think Kyren's not explosive, his explosives don't impress me, Smitty. He's not going to be an explosive guy. Kyren Williams averaged 5 yards per carry the year prior. It was because Puka was down and injured. Kupp was not the same. They had no passing attack, and they had to run the damn ball. 8-man front after 8-man front. Kyren still got it done, scoring an insane amount of touchdowns on the ground and some total. Kyren still got it done. Kyren's a marvel. Kyren is explosive, and I wouldn't listen to anybody that told you or tells you that Kyren's not explosive. This is going to be a season of Kyren. It'll be a season of Adams and Puka together, not just Puka. And Puka comes with the most injury risk of any receiver or player that gets drafted inside the top 10, period. And I sell him in Dynasty, by the way. I get rid of him as quick as I can. I say as quick as I can because the value's still crazy high, and I want to capitalize on that. He says he's going to retire at 30 years old. Not that that's not a long time, but he's already talking about retirement, and he plays so aggressive with his body that I could see that being moved up if he suffers some major injuries. He puts himself at risk more than any wide receiver in the National Football League. Puka Nacua is a walking injury that doesn't grab touchdowns, that's getting a little bit overdrafted. I love Puka Nacua. I love his heart. I love his determination. I love his grit. I love how he plays. I do love how he plays, but how he plays is a problem. And Davante Adams is going to impede on his 2025 production. And then from a dynasty perspective, think about what happens if Matthew Stafford walks away. Matthew Stafford is on a 1-year deal, essentially. It's not, while technically it is not a 1-year contract, McVay's already said this is a year-to-year readdressing of the situation. So all intents and purposes, his contract, despite the actual length of it, is a 1-year deal. The team will move on or they'll re-sign him again. And if Stafford doesn't age out, which is also a threat, I would say it's like not the biggest concern I have, but it is a concern. And he's always getting banged up. That's like another concern for Stafford, staying healthy and making sure he can still play. Stafford is more likely to leave next year than to stay. And what happens when Puka doesn't have his laser locking quarterback that ironically made Cooper Kupp and then he ironically made Puka Nacua? Is this the Rams are so good at drafting a wide receiver? Think about it. Or is it, well, it's a combo of that, but also a heavy dose of that Stafford makes players into superstars. Is it a coincidence that Randall Cobb, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Davante Adams all came from the Green Bay wide receiver cultivation? Or is it kind of some of that, but mostly Aaron Rodgers turned players into superstars? Think about it. Cooper Kupp, what a short career he had. Getting peppered with targets that got him abused, and he aged out very quickly. 28 years old, Cooper Kupp fell off the face of the earth. No wonder Puka wants to retire early, and he said that. The way he gets fed the ball by Stafford alone, mixed with the way he plays, he's a walking injury. I don't like this value. I like Jeanty over this. I like Neighbors over this. Obviously, I love CeeDee Lamb and Bijan, but they probably won't be there. Puka Nacua, you can say what you want. The guy has scored 9 TDs in 28 games. Marvin Harrison scored 8 touchdowns as a rookie last year, and people are complaining. You know who had 7 touchdowns last year alone? Tucker Kraft had 7 touchdowns last year alone. In 2024, Cooper Kupp has 9 in 28 games. Not trying to tear the man down. I'm just trying to make you understand that this is a guy that just got Davante Adams, and his quarterback might be leaving after 1 year. Alarm bells in Dynasty should be going off. Christian McCaffrey, he's missed 54 games since 2020. 54. He also has bilateral chronic, the key word chronic, not going away, Achilles tendonitis. And his calf injuries are alarm bells for Achilles problems. Think Aaron Rodgers or Halliburton, all these players in the NBA that are suffering these Achilles tears after playing through calf injuries. You have a calf injury, you just better sit down. Not only are you very at risk of tearing an Achilles, but your Achilles is in pain. It's damaged. It's in trouble. Your calf injury is oftentimes an alarm bell. Not always, but an alarm bell hey, we got problems down here in the Achilles area. Aaron Rodgers was wearing a sleeve. He kept having calf injuries, and then boom, tore his Achilles tendon. Christian McCaffrey's calf injury, which led to the diagnosis of Achilles tendonitis chronic, that's not going to go away. And not to mention, I don't care how good and explosive he looks running around, even if he's like getting, kind of bumped left and right, taking like little hits, not big hits. Doesn't matter when he goes out there and has 300-pound linemen trying to drive him into the ground. Multiple 300-pound linemen. His Achilles is going to be tested for the first time. It hasn't been tested. It's not going to get tested. They're not going to even throw him to the Wolves during the preseason. Why would they? He will eventually have issues this year. Now, will he be great in week 1, week 2, week 3? Like Barkley, he could have a great first month of football. If you think you're going to come in here and go, Smitty, you didn't like Barkley, it's week 3, he's going crazy. Or Christian McCaffrey, 2 straight weeks, weeks 1 and 2, he's great. Do you feel stupid, Smitty? I don't think you understand what I'm saying, because I've already said Barkley should start off on a tear. Barkley didn't slow down that much at the end of the year. He looked kind of tired and worn, but like I said, he'll recharge. There's no Barkley's going to look awful in week 1, or that Christian McCaffrey can't look good in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, even through like 8 weeks, 10 weeks. You can play the game of trying to pick when that drop-off happens and trade him high, but I don't think it's worth it when the better option is right there on draft day. A very similar but safer option. Christian McCaffrey, I know everybody wants him to be the old Christian McCaffrey for one more year. I don't know why everybody's so nostalgic about it. I don't know why everybody wants to be on that train. Everybody wants to be the wizard that went back into the storm and the tornado is happening and they went into it and they came out victorious. Everybody wants to be that guy. I don't know why. I'd rather be the guy that drafted Ashton Jeanty. I'd rather be the guy that drafted CeeDee Lamb. Obviously Jahmyr Gibbs, but McCaffrey at 7.9 and Gibbs at 5.6. It's not crazy that these two are right neck and neck in some drafts, and someone might take CMC. His ADP's climbing 7.9. He goes at 5.6 sometimes. That's insane. So this is 10 players. We're going to go 2 more, and that's where it stops. That is the top 12. I'm not going to even talk about BT or Henry or those players down there. We're doing 1 round at a time. This is round number 1 only. I don't hate the St. Brown or Nico values. I just like a couple of the players better. It comes down to liking certain players more. I still believe that Detroit could take a little bit of a step backward, but if they're losing, maybe they throw more. It's hard to really know. I just think Goff turns a little bit more into a pumpkin. Then he continues to ball out with Ben Johnson gone. Losing 2 key pieces of the line and your offensive coordinator that propped Goff up, it just doesn't feel great. And I love this Ashton Jeanty value. I think Jeanty could easily be a not only top 5 overall player in 2025, but he could be RB. Honestly, wouldn't shock me if he led the league in rushing on the year. But being a running back 2 to 3 seems very, very realistic for the best running back prospect that's maybe ever come out of college. And for those that say, Smitty, I've heard this, so I'm going to repeat it like it's my own advice. Smitty, the Raiders looked really bad last year. How could you expect Jeanty, right? Is this what I heard? How can I expect Jeanty to play well when the Raiders looked so bad last year? How do people even come up with this? How do people even repeat when they hear this? The Raiders aren't even the same team. You want to predict that the Raiders are going to suck? At least say, hey, I don't think this new Raiders team, new system, new coach, Dante Thornton, Brock Bowers, amazing. New quarterback. You may not love Geno Smith, but he's efficient. You can pretend or predict that this team won't be good, the new team, but don't talk about last year. Don't talk about last year's team. Different coach, different scheme, different quarterback, different wide receiver. 2 wide receivers they drafted, and the number 1 running back prospect to maybe ever come out of college with the other improvements they've made. Don't act like that's the same team. It's lazy. It's a lazy take. And there have been plenty of running backs that have excelled in bad environments. And if they're playing from behind, which honestly, I think you're crazy if you think they aren't going to at least compete, not win a wild card spot, but compete all year, be in it enough to say all the way up to the last 2 or 3 games, it really looks like there's a mathematical shot. If you don't think they can play at that level, if you don't think Jeanty and Bowers are enough pieces to add to this team with the new system, new coach, new quarterback, you don't think that Jeanty and Bowers are capable enough of being that good, then I don't know what I'm going to even tell you or how I'm going to convince you. I don't care. Jeanty's going to ball out. Jeanty's going to ball the hell out. And I would take, don't tell anybody, but I would take Jeanty as high as 5 or 6 overall if I needed to. I don't need to, so I'm not going to do it. This could be arguably the number 1 running back in Dynasty. I have Bijan, Gibbs, and then Jeanty in Dynasty. I have that in redraft. Don't tell anybody I have Bucky number 4. Don't forget I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. I'm also additionally live whenever big news breaks. And I'm also live midnight Eastern almost every single night. And don't forget to get on over to my Patreon. It's $10 a month. Cancel anytime, 24/7 live chat group. The amazing people in the YouTube live streams, they're all over in this 24/7 live chat environment. Best place to just talk football, get trade advice, say hello, whatever. And then especially on game days, we're all in here all day long, just chatting away. It's fantastic. Make sure you get on over there. See you on the next one. Appreciate you.